Hi guys, it's Jackie with Intoxicating Arts, and today we're making a card featuring the Paperclips from the Simon Says Stamp February card kit. To start off this card, we're going to take the to-go coffee cup die that was included in the kit and die cut this twice out of some white cardstock. I'm using Bristol Smooth simply because I like the weight of the cardstock. Then I'm going to add a pink piece of paper and a green piece of paper, covering up the entire die except for that top because I want the lid to be white. And then I'm taking my craft knife to cut around the edges of it. I just wanted to try it out this way because I know you can definitely just use your scissors to cut these out, but I wanted to try to get it as precise as possible. So I thought maybe if I had them upside down like this and I could see the back and use my craft knife, I would get a pretty precise cut. And I like how it ended up, but you can definitely use scissors. Next, we're going to put some personality back on these coffee cups, and I'm using my Stamp Perfect tool to do this, and this long rectangle magnet. I did it this way so that I could butt them up against that magnet, and then I can move them around slightly to line them up with the faces. It's really hard to get the face stamps to line up with the coffee cups. It was actually easier to do it this way to get it lined up where I wanted. And there's 4 different faces in the stamp set that you can pick from, so I just picked the 2 that I liked the most and inked that up with some VersaFine black onyx pigment ink to give them some personality again. So they are a lot happier now that they have faces. Alright, so we'll move on to the pattern paper for the card, and I'm using this heart one that was included. I'm going to cut that down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, and that is a 1/4 of an inch smaller on each side than an A2 card, so we'll have an 1/8 inch border in the end. And if you cut it down at the 4 inches first, you'll be able to salvage those 2 little pieces that are on the back of that card. Then we're grabbing this other piece of paper that has these little list things on them, and I'm going to cut that down at 3 inches and again at 2, and you'll be able to perfectly have that rectangle cut out. I'm using the one that has just a rainbow of hearts on the top of it, and this is what we're going to stamp our sentiment on. So I wanted to corner chomp the edges of that. I'm using a We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper, and I'm going to use the 1/4 inch side for this and just chomp each edge of that. I just think it looks a lot more finished and nice this way. And then I also thought that it would be a good idea to use the 1/2 inch side, and I'm corner chomping diagonally from each other just 2 of the corners on this piece. Alright, so now we can do our stamping, and I'm once again going to be using that same ink, and for the sentiment it's really tiny print and I wanted to make sure it was going to be perfect, so I'm using this piece of plastic that's actually from my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig, and I'm going to practice stamp that down to make sure it's exactly how I want it to be. And I can tell here that it is definitely good enough and I can move on to my next step. So just wanted to give you that little tip. You can definitely use a piece of acetate to do this as well. Alright, so now I can do it for real this time. I'm going to ink that up, and then I'm using I only need 2 things, U and coffee. And for the U and coffee part of the sentiment, I actually arranged everything on my card so I knew exactly where I would be stamping down that part of the sentiment, and I took a picture of it so that I knew how I wanted to put everything back on there. So here you can see I'm using my phone to see the picture, and I know exactly where I'm going to put these coffee cups back on the card to look the way that I want it to. I happened to get this one right on the first try. I arranged everything, looked at it, and I was like, you know what, I really like the way that looks, so that's definitely what we're gonna go with. Now I'm taking one of the paper clips that was included in the kit, and I'm using my DIY glue dots to adhere this to the card. I have varying sizes here since these were DIY ones. You can make whatever size you want. If you're curious how I did this, I take A-Leans, tack it over and over, and I sit there and I make little dots on this piece of sticker paper. It's actually a backing from labels that I use to ship my orders, and I just sit there and put dots all over it and then let it dry overnight, and then I can fold it over for storage. So super easy, and it's kind of fun to do. And then this works really well for adhering embellishments such as metal embellishments, and it's clear, so it's not very noticeable. It's not an eyesore or anything. So I'm going to use these to put a hair bow and a bow tie on the coffee cups. I just thought that would be a cute use of these, because when I first saw them, I kind of thought, how am I going to incorporate these into my card? Alright, so now I'm taking one of the pieces of paper that was also included in the kit. It's a blue one, and I'm going to trim that down to 11 inches by 8.5, or sorry, I can't remember. It's 11 inches by 9.5. So you score it at 4 1/4, and you have a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card. And we have that 1/8 inch border like I was talking about earlier, and that blue matches the blue border of that note card looking piece of paper where we stamped our sentiment. So everything is nice and matched up, and then you can also tell that there's some hearts in there that are green and pink, so our coffee cups match that very nicely. It's a super colorful card. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you very soon for another one. Bye!